Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the new Gems of War Mythic of the King of Ravens. Normally when it comes to the campaign Mythic, I tend to cover it a little bit closer to when the Standard Pass ends up getting it, as currently you can only get to 900 right now. However, I did want to mention it a little bit earlier, mostly because it is probably going to be used a lot in Guild War this week, assuming anyone did end up getting it through the bigger pass. I'm pretty sure not as many people do. However, for anyone that did, you will have to deal with it this week. It's a little bit of a pay-to-win kind of situation, though I highly doubt, I don't know, it's going to get a lot of usage in the future, but it's very niche. So what King of Ravens does is it converts 2 blue gems to spirit gems when my turn begins. Of course, spirit gems already are blue gems, so you're not gaining any more blue onto the board than you already are. However, that is potentially 4 mana drain every single turn. And that is good. If you have a board clear, this is probably a little bit better under player control than under the AI control. But you, in theory, as long as you have a board clear option every turn, which is surprisingly easy with this troop, you can drain up to 4 mana from the enemy every single turn. And this is enough to make sure they're not at full. Generally, 4 is going to take at least 1 turn, if not 2, to get back to full mana. And you can do this every single turn, meaning as long as you have, well, a full board clear, you'll be able to. And guess what? He has his own full board clear. He gets to just explode all purple and spirit gems, and then deal a bunch of damage to the last 2 enemies, boosted by spirit gems. And of course, you don't have to do it just with this troop, you can do it with other troops. Anything that has a board clear, mass destroy, even converting into blues could end up doing it, if you're doing it for like a blue Guild War Day kind of situation. So a lot of ways to end up utilizing it for its perpetual 4 mana drain per turn. So that's basically its whole premise. Its ability itself is, or at least the second part of it, it's nothing special. It does double tap the last 2 slots, so you can synergize it with other things that do if you so choose, but it's not really used for its damage. It's mostly used for its relatively consistent 4 mana drain per turn. One thing that of course can happen is if you don't have a way to board clear every single turn, there's a small potential that you'll end up getting mana drained. However, it itself does have immune to mana drain, though of course the rest of your team might not, so as one thing to consider. So as far as when this thing is getting released, the bigger pass got him on Monday, standard pass gets him next week's Monday, and free to play will be able to get him on one of 2 ways. Whenever we have the next Glacial Peaks event, you'll be able to get him through the event queue drop table, and otherwise in the Soul Forge on the next rotation in several months from now. Within the next couple months, definitely by summer at some point. Anyways, let's go and get into a bunch of teams with this guy. So we'll start off with some of the more offensive, and then we'll kind of just mention a couple defensive. Oddly enough, all the defensive teams I actually end up mentioning as, let's do it in PvP for once. Most of the defensive teams, I do end up showing it on the corresponding color. Main reason I did this is because we didn't have these colors yet. So just as like a forewarning as to what could happen. I don't feel like some of them are like the strongest of teams, but as far as the defend ones. But they are kind of things that you might end up seeing. As far as like defense compositions and how they're normally structured. Anyways, let's go into some standard teams first. So basically a bunch of board clear. You generally want your damage source to also have a board clear option, however you want to end up doing that. Thrall is also a great option. Obviously Bane or Mercy to make sure that they can have immune to mana drain. So if they do have immune, let's see, does he have anything that's immune? No. But if he did, we'd be able to bypass it. So do we have alignment here? We do not, and we're frozen. That's not good. All right, we'll take a little bit of yellow there. I'll do a little bit of convert. Oddly enough, that actually helps us way more than it hurts us. As far as his convert right there. Well, biggest issue I would say when this team is initially starting is the amount of backfire that can happen from its own mana drains. Luckily, that didn't end up ultimately happening there. But now we can start getting the cycle. So as you saw, we have mass mana drained him. He doesn't have any immune to mana drain, so we don't even have to worry about the Mercy right now. If we don't choose to do so. Oh, does he have an infinite loop one? Oh gosh, he has Flask Infinite Loop. That is so annoying. Okay, maybe we should stick to Explore 12. It's not going to do much damage, but he'll get like 1,000 turns before we get 1. This is about the ratio of turns right here. But anyways, okay. We do not have a way to deal with that while being frozen, which is not ideal. We're just going to have to Mass Destroy again, get the mana drain. At least if nothing else, if he cannot have an extra turn option from our Cascade, we're going to be good to go. So if you could just like not Cascade, we will be in a perfect position. Why are you still frozen? Okay, let's just go Mass Destroy everything. We'll be able to use his own potions against us. Unfortunately, we won't have a second mana drain here, but we'll just have to go for another Ward Breaker. That's fine. And we'll get our... No, we didn't get the other extra turn. Okay. We're gonna have to use his damage taps. We don't have alignment right now, so we're just gonna have to go for that. Get our damage down, get our match destroy, take our skull. We're still frozen. And we can try for Skull for Sky. We got it! Nice. That's exactly what we want to see right there. Please take that. We could also smash destroy there. But there we go. A little bit sketchy up against an infinite loop team. The problems of bringing these to PvP, but it did indeed get through. And of course, yeah, you just keep mana draining over and over again. Unfortunately, not quite enough in that particular situation, but it does still get it. Here we have a double impervious, double immune to mana drain team. Impervious doesn't get past some of the status effects. Obviously, having as many mana burn immunes as you possibly can being kind of nice too. Unfortunately, with only 2, it's not as many, but of course, Hero can have it as well, which we'll end up doing it off of the Orb Weaver Hero class. You can even get even more immune by basically having Bless, almost bringing us to a triple impervious in a sense, as we'll have Bless on Hero, 2 imperviouses, and then, you know, the troop itself, which has to be on the team if we're showing a team for it. Anyways, right off the bat, we kind of want to go for Carnix here. This one doesn't go as heavy into the mana accumulation route, which does mean we will get punished pretty hard if they do have a good alignment. Luckily, they don't seem to really have it here, so they'll get this little thing. We'll take our little bit of mana, and we should be able to get rolling. Big issue with a lot of these teams is just, will you have a way to take your own gems is when you're getting rolling. Once the team gets rolling, that's not really much of an issue. But it's always like the beginning issue is just trying to get your mana drain gem so you can get everything rolling. And once you reach a point like this, you're just good to go and just kind of auto win. And then everything just kind of gets set into motion. It's more so getting there that's the biggest issue a lot of times. But once you're here, you just win. You get the mana drain every single turn. Obviously, we have the mana drain or the explode also off of Arachne Weaver. Having as many options that can go for that board clear, really nice to have, just to make sure you just always have a way to end up getting it. And this team even has web, so on top of all the mana drain, well, if they ever do get a cast off, you have 4 times web to apply to it too. And any of the Bane of Mercy teams, forgot to mention when we're just messing with it, though a couple of these do use Bane of Mercy, you do have access to 4 times Curse. So, like for Zolgoth, for example, we'll be able to freeze burn it. Mana Drain will be able to get through, even if they have immune, stuff like that. You will be able to utilize, so that's kind of nice. This kind of uses a resummon Zolgoth team. I wouldn't say a standard Zolgoth team, but, you know, kind of somewhat standard structure for it. We don't have as much Explode on this one, but we do have the Curse synergy. Bane of Mercy, obviously, a really good friend of this Mythic. Gonna have some pretty good synergy there. We just got it the other week, too, so pretty nice, as it's a relatively recent addition. So here's a situation where it is very bad for us. We keep getting... Why on earth does this one want to keep getting frozen? Why does it feel like every time I look at this thing, it is frozen? We are using elementals here, so I'm actually going to pass my turn just to go apply a status effect to it. Luckily, this time around, we're not frozen on this, so we can simply just go for it. We do have access to Skull. We could, under most circumstances, actually turn here. Unfortunately, we can't really go for it, so I kind of just want to mana drain him, to be honest, just to make sure he can't go for it, and he has to get Skull distracted. So we can simply just take that from the board. We have so much mana here, I have to go for it. I can't really not, even though he's going to get a little bit of value there. And of course, hit the exact same thing over again. A little unfortunate, but it does end up happening. We'll take our little bit of brown just to get that rolling. You really need full mana, so we can actually get all of our mana. As far as with the explodes and everything, we also have backup resummon if he was to ever kill, which, you know, he could. He has his own Zolgoth. We're not using an immune to mana drain hero class, so we will have to deal with our own mana drain. Quite a few of the others do. That's why we kept using Orb Weaver on some of them. However, of course, the second we don't, we do get the little bit of mana drain there, but that's fine. We don't really have an option here as far as what we optimally need, because we really just need a green or blue right about now. Particularly blue, because, you know, you'd get a free mana drain with it as well. We do have our little poke, so we'll go for our explode there. That'll get everything rolling. Unfortunately... Oh, no, good. We did get the mana drain there, as he normally does. Oh, yeah, we don't get to get more of them, unfortunately, when he's stunned. That is quite a factor. And you can't use Orpheus for it either when he's stunned. I don't believe any of these teams actually use Mass Cleanse. It's just kind of hoping he doesn't get stunned. Obviously, in most circumstances, with something that really needs traits if it gets stunned, you know, it's kind of out of commission, which is just kind of an issue, since you can't use the Orpheus medals, because the Orpheus medals, when stunned, do not trigger. So you do have to end up dealing with that whole fiasco. Okay, we are having trouble to get the Zolgoth to full mana. We can just take a red surge right now, which is very tempted, but I do just want to go for a little bit of mana drain, because why not? And then we'll take our red, and then we can finally get things rolling. So Zolgoth is Zolgoth, and unfortunately, we won't really get much skull damage until that gets cleansed. Luckily, it gets cleansed there. There a little bit of mana drain, but you may notice he is pretty much, even though we haven't been able to cast much, neither has he, and we're finally cleansed, so we can actually start doing things now, which is nice. We can actually go win the battle now that we're finally not frozen. And they always keep poking it out. Of course, Bane of Mercy also gives extra attack to your first slot. which in, of course, this current circumstance is itself. And then we'll take our poke. But yeah, this is under the category, I would say, of slow win troop. It's likely going to have a high win rate, but it wins slowly. It reminds me a lot of like Famine and stuff like that. Obviously, really close to Famine, though Famine drains like everything at once, whereas this kind of does it very slowly over time. But it reminds me a lot of Famine in that it generally gets a really high win rate. It just does so very slowly, which means it'll be very situational when you bring out King of Raven. But you know, when you do, it still have some potential. So now let's start getting into the Guild War teams. And these are, I chose all colors that are later in the week. Obviously, even though it is a purple, yellow, blue troop, you don't have to use on purple, yellow, blue Guild War Defend days. You can do it on any day if you so choose. You could put them on a red day. You could put them on a brown day. You know, it doesn't have to be these three colors. But I chose these because why not? And they have not occurred yet today, or this week, on at least on PC Mobile. None of these three colors have yet occurred. So there's kind of examples of some things that could be used for. I'm pretty sure one of the more popular ones will probably be the purple build. Like something along the lines of this will, I'm pretty sure, be one of the more used ones. Maybe with something else other than Thrall necessarily. But I figured Thrall just for the quick board clear. It's also very likely the AI loves to spam it as well. So figured we do it that way. So the way that we're actually going to do these is a little bit different than normal. I'm actually not even sure what I have for my defend or my own defend teams for some of these days. But what we're going to do is set it to our defend and click test defend team, which is something I don't show in videos too often, but I test a lot of my Guild War teams like this off stream or even on stream. You know, generally not during videos, but for once, let's do it this way. So you can actually fight any of your teams you ever want to. It's very simple. You just go to PvP, you go to defend, and then you go to set your defend team that you want to go and have fought, and then you just simply test defend team. And now over here is that team. And now we just use whatever team we want to do on it. I guess whatever I currently have set to Guild War Purple. I'm honestly not sure what these are. I didn't bother changing these beforehand. But what we're going to do is test our team by fighting it. Instead of actually using it ourselves, we're just going to fight our own version of it. And to see how it does. So let's go for our explosion right off the bat. And get our Thrall in there. And let's see. We'll start getting Life and Death Weaver. The only problem with this is it can sometimes be hard to see how the team's actually going to function. Because is it just this team doing good or is this team doing bad? Sometimes you don't really know. Because right now we're absolutely... Oh, wait, that was enough damage. Didn't bother calculating that. But he's webbed right now, so he can't really do anything. That's the only problem with testing teams like this. Is you don't really ever know in a given situation. Or it's really hard to really determine sometimes. If it's because this team is the good one or if this one is the bad one. It's the only problem with a situation like this. As it can be rather ambiguous sometimes. You know what? Let's go use them offensively. This might not work out. The only problem with this is, obviously, these are meant to be fought against pure color teams. I guess one way we could do it is do it the other way around. I guess we could do it that way. Hold up. I could test defend team, but use my offensive team on defense. And then we can use the defense team, which is not normally the way you do this, but for the sake of actually using the team itself, let's do it that way. Yeah, test defend team. And we're going to do it the inverse way, where we're going to use the team that would normally be our defend, and we're going to fight the one that would normally be the offense. How about that? Okay. Anything we need to change? No. So we're using the defensive team offensively, even though it's meant for a defensive, you know, just to set it on your defense team. Anyways, we'll take this over. Thrall right off the bat. We don't have alignment, so we just have to go for it. Let's see. Got a little bit of disable there. We can probably just go for another board clear. We don't get another mana drain. We can also go for the other thing and just damage pressure some. I really want to get Bane of Mercy down and start getting everything else rolling, but we'll go for this just to make sure we can start getting book rolling. I'm pretty sure the AI probably would have Thralled there, though. So let's go for our Thrall. Go for our other mana accumulation. Keep getting chip damage. Unfortunately, not enough to get full mana there. We do finally have our great alignment, so we'll go for that. Unfortunately, the AI might not always use it at the perfect time, but we can. So we'll go for that, and ideally extra turn. Oh, we're frozen still in the other color, but we can just board clear and be good to go. You may notice he's pretty much hasn't really casted on us yet, mostly because, you know, he can't with the constant spam of everything. So we'll see if we can get book again. Obviously, his whole team is purple, so we'll end up hitting that on that every single time. So just kind of purple book spam and, you know, standard book spam shenanigans. And unfortunately, we are frozen on the skulls. However, we are not frozen on the purple, so we can still keep getting value there. So as long as we keep getting the extra turn on those, should be good to go. See if we can get it again. We did indeed get it on purple. Perfect. And we can go for the other thing as the finisher. Pretty sure the AI would just keep spamming book, though, until it finally failed for the most part. That, or we'll throw in a random Throw for no reason. But there we go. And we won both ways, so... Again, not sure which way, if it's the team that's... it's always hard to tell, is the only problem with that. Like, is it this team or the other team that's slightly weaker? Because this one's not meant to be a defend team, obviously, so the AI does it not as good as you would hope. But anyways, now we go switch it. So let's go switch this to our Guild War. Let's see, which one did I do next? It's either blue or purple. So let's go switch this one to yellow. And of course, you don't have to actually use these on the corresponding colored days. Offensively, you do, but defensively, you don't have to. I just figured I'd show the colors, since we're kind of already in the theme of that. So next, we go with pretty standard, just double empower. Using actually 2 new empowers. Bane and Mercy, which literally just came out last week, and Spider Throne, which came out a couple months ago. And it should be available for free to play by now, if I'm not mistaken. It came out through the Kingdom Pass of Zolkiri, which was January, early January of this month. Of this year, like 2 months ago. Or at this point, almost 3 months ago. But yeah, they're basically, actually, they're the 2 most recent Empower troops, so kind of funny that we could finally use them both together. But anyways, we're doing this with Orb Weaver Hero class and using King of Ravens. Kind of similar to like a Life and Death Weaver team. Kind of funny as we are up against a Weaver right now. Oh yeah, we're up against ourselves. I feel like this one we could potentially lose, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Because this is actually an attack boost ratio oriented team, and we have a lot of things to disable casting, but not necessarily attack value. Because we have web, we have mana drain, but don't necessarily have anything other than the entangle at the start of battle. Also, can this thing stop getting frozen every battle? I'm pretty sure this thing has been frozen literally every battle. Every time I look at this thing, it is frozen. A little unfortunate. But we do have 2 different converts, all brown to purple and all yellow to purple. Of course, this would normally be under AI control, so it would probably go for it immediately. So, you know what? Maybe we shall too, just to see if we can end up doing it. So I will go for this one first. So we'll apply our web. Of course, he can web us back. And now, ideally, we just have alignment. And guess what? We do. Unfortunately, we are frozen, so it's going to backfire a little. With a team like this, you probably would want to run with Orpheus's. Actually, I almost want to go back and just reset it, because this is a team you would normally run with a lot of Orpheus. We don't really have a way to deal with our own web thingy. So this is one when you set it on the given day, you would make sure to switch all your medals to Orpheus throughout the day, so that your defend team would end up being able to utilize it. So let's do the same. You could either go triple, 20% is double, however you want to do it. But for the sake of this, we'll show it with triple, just to kind of show it this way. And let's test it again. But this is mostly just to counter your own web, as the team itself doesn't necessarily have any way to really immune to it naturally. So you can end up doing it through other means. In this case, just throwing it down that way. So once again, we don't really have much of alignment. Hopefully the AI would actually use it in correct order. So we'd go for this, go for our attack buff. That's one nice synergy that it has as well, as we do get the attack buff into the stone skin. So we can end up bulking out a little bit more. Not necessarily necessary to use it like that, but it's a little bit of a benefit. Unfortunately, once again, we do not really have that good of alignment here. We are frozen on blue. I am going to take it just to deny him, though. Oh, wait, never mind. Wait. Oh, yeah. Because we took it through the Spirit Gem, it didn't mana drain us. I'm not sure if that's intended or not. I'm pretty sure it's not. But it is a mechanic that currently exists, intended or not. So we'll get our web down there. And now when we get webbed, as long as we're not stunned, which unfortunately he is using Elementalist, so we are getting stunned a little. But we can just board clear here. Luckily, one nice synergy of this is it explodes all purple and all Spirit Gems. Which means not only will it explode all of its Spirit Gems, but of course the web gems do count as purple. So it will indeed also get rid of all the web gems, which is kind of nice. I like how I set Orpheus, but it doesn't even matter because we are getting disabled on stun. So Orpheus doesn't trigger when you end up having to stun. So unfortunately, it doesn't really get too much value there. But of course, we can bless it off by doing that. Get her a little bit of mana drain. If nothing else, it doesn't really have any way to deal with us. Constantly draining it. As most teams generally don't these days. I don't feel like people really build around countering mana drain as much these days, at least compared to in the past. So right now we can just simply get rid of all of our web gems. You almost always want to do that. Obviously the AI might not. However, you generally want to get rid of all your web gems pretty much immediately if you are ever using it yourself. And hopefully your AI team will just do it. Just to make sure that they don't really backfire on you. I do want one more mana for that. Wait, do you actually mana to adjacents? What do I forget? Do you? Oh, I could have sworn you give one to all allies. Am I thinking of a different weapon? I know it gains a lot of mana for itself, but I could have sworn you also did one to allies. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of a different weapon. Yeah, I am, because it definitely does not have that mechanic. Some weapons do, and they are surprisingly useful. Like in this situation, it would actually be full mana for us. Unfortunately, not the case. So we are going to go to take our extra turn. We can go for the poke there. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get that def mark, but we can get a bunch of mana there. Go take this and try for the purple off the sky. Didn't end up getting it there. Let's see. I don't have a way to cascade the other one, so we'll just go for life and death. Of course, these are meant to be more so defend teams, so they're not really looking to win quickly. They're mostly looking to not die. And of course, life and death does that very, very efficiently, to say the least. We can keep going for mana drain, of course. We actually have mana drain immunity ourselves, oddly enough, so we don't have to actually worry about it going for it here. And let's go for our double kill, then just go chip the other two until they end up dying out. And of course, we can just keep going for mana drain whenever we need it. We don't have any of the annoying effects to have to deal with, so it'll just slowly whittle down until we end up ultimately winning it out. And will the AI do similar when it does it? Probably not. But for the most part, it will do like some of the same things. Like it is going to empower immediately. Hopefully, it'll just empower onto alignment, as the AI just loves to empower into absolute nothing sometimes. But having more board clears is a nice way to offset that, so you can always make a way to go for the mana drain. It's just hard to put a lot of it onto your team without it getting too clunky and the entire team just being, you know, board clear. You do eventually need other options on it. Anyways, let's go test one last team against ourselves. And that will be to set our, what was the last one? Set our defend blue. And we can end up doing it that way. So we'll set our, we'll use our Guild War blue. I have to set the defend blue. Oh, no. We'll set the Guild War blue. Which is kind of inverse order of how you would normally do this. But it's going to be the only way we can actually utilize the team itself. Because we want the AI messing around with it. So this one goes around Lord of Slaughter. We're basically using Daughter of Ice to kind of get Lord of Slaughter and Book rolling. And just kind of clearing it out with Book. You could potentially go to anything in first slot. It's pretty flexible. I figured I'd go for Lord of Slaughter, because why not? But it's a pretty flexible spot as far as we might want to go for it. And finally, we don't get frozen on starting board. How wonderful. Am I even using a freeze class? I am. Oh, he hit on our immune. That's nice. So we do have immune to freeze on two things. So he hit on one of those two things. Very convenient. So we already got Book going. So this will probably be one of the strongest ones we have yet. This is exactly what you wanted to do. So that's great. You just start Book spamming. And you know how Book is. It almost auto wins once it gets rolling sometimes. It's really hard to end up dealing with. And we'll get the Lord of Slaughter in there. Of course, this would be under AI control, so no clue if they would do this in even remotely correct order. But while we're using it, we might as well do it in correct order. And there we go. Boom, dead. And, you know, when it works well, it works really well. And, of course, we're constantly getting mana drain, so if they ever try to do anything, they're just not going to be able to. But overall, it's definitely something you have to consider whenever you're building teams. You're going to probably see it. You might have to counter it some. Just put a bunch of immune to mana drains, immune to mana drains onto your team. And some of the better ways to do that are like some of the Dark Elves from Zolkari. Obviously, anything that has the mana drain immunity, which actually, what's the easiest way to end up? Probably Mana Shield. Obviously, there are a few things other than Mana Shield that end up having it, but generally, anything with Mana Shield can end up being a pretty good option for if you're just looking for things to immune to it. Of course, you can end up getting stunned out of it, which is always a concern. Also, I didn't even realize it. He's only one of two Mythics currently with Mana Shield? I did not notice that. Well, that's another thing going for him. I did not notice that there were so few that actually have immune to Mana Drain as far as the things. Interesting. Because Impervious doesn't have it on it. I always think it does, but it's actually not considered a status effect in that sense. Like anything like Enrage Carandera does, because it has like immune to like everything. But oh yeah, because all the things with Enrage. Like things like Enrage Carandera, Tower, stuff like that will have immune to it, as well as like immune to pretty much everything in the entire game. But Impervious does not have it corresponding with it, so you do have to worry about it in those circumstances. But yeah, you'll be able to go get this realistically next week's Monday when Chapter 10 comes around. If you have the Standard Pass, of course, Bigger Pass has already had it for a couple days now. And free to play, you'll get it in a couple months or so, whenever next Glacial Peaks event rolls around, or just in Soulforge on next rotation. But overall, yeah, great mana drainer. It's going to be similar to Famine for the most part, in that it's a very niche option. Like, you don't see people just running everywhere with Famine. You probably haven't maybe even seen it in a month or a couple months. But, you know, it's under the same category. I feel like it's slightly more viable than Famine in the current state of the game. But, I don't know, it's still very situational as far as when you end up utilizing it. But people have, due to Famine being less used, Mana Drains being less used, I do feel like the average team has a lot less immune to mana drain, at least in the current state of the game. That could change if King of Ravens just starts getting used a ton. Obviously, this Guild War, you're probably not going to see it too often, but I still figured I covered it a little bit earlier, as it is still a factor that can come into play. But if nothing else, definitely be prepared for it next time Guild War comes around, as the frequency of King of Ravens will probably be a lot higher than it will be this time, as very few people will have it for this event, even though it will still come into play. But next time it comes around, most people will have it. Who knows? Maybe free-to-play will have it by then, though it might be a couple Guild Wars before then. So definitely something to consider. But I don't know. We'll just have to see how big of a threat it is over time as people start using it some, and see exactly overall how viable it actually end up being. Because, of course, it can backfire, it can mana drain your own team, but as long as you have a board clear every single time, should be okay. But, you know, under defense, when the AI is controlling it, we don't really know from, like, a big set of data yet, like, exactly how well it'll perform when the AI is constantly using it. So, well, basically, just have to wait and see how it performs and go from there. Anyways, guys, if you still have any other questions or any teams you want to mention yourself, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Definitely feel free to leave a like on the video. Helps a lot and is greatly appreciated. And I'll catch all of you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.